Welcome back, everybody. Dwayne Patterson in for Hugh Hewitt today, and I am joined by a good, dear friend of mine and the programs. For about the last couple of decades, I've known Dr. Michael Oren, the former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. I remember talking to him while he was in a tank overlooking the Golan Heights. I mean, there's all sorts of times we've been talking to Michael over the years, and he joins us now from Israel. Dr. Oren, welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show. Good to talk to you.
Great to be with you, Dwayne, as always. Hi. Good morning to everybody.
I know you are loath to talk domestic American politics, especially close to an election, but it would be journalistic malpractice if I did not play you one clip of Kamala Harris on a CNN town hall on Wednesday night. She was asked one question and one question only about the Israeli war against all the proxies, whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, or whatever. And, of course, the questioner framed it in the question of what can we do for the poor Gazans? And I want to play this cut for you and get your reaction to it. You can take it however you want to take it, but I bet you can guess how I reacted to it. Let's play cut number 16
My
for
question is, as president, what would you do to ensure not another Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
So I will say, and I think this is to your point, far too many innocent Palestinian civilians have been killed. It's unconscionable. And we are now at a place where with Sinwar's death, I do believe we have an opportunity to end this war, bring the hostages home, bring relief to the Palestinian people, and work toward a two-state solution where Israel and the Palestinians in equal measure have security, where the Palestinian people have dignity, self-determination, and the safety that they so rightly deserve.
Dr. Oren, to me, that is a rote, memorized answer, a general answer that she has been focus grouped and thinks that that's the right answer to any Middle Eastern question. But it's nonsense. But that's my opinion. What do you think? How do you react to that?
It's not shocking. I've heard it many times from Kamala Harris. I've heard it 10 times from many representatives of the Democratic Party. It's the position of this administration. I think it'll be the position of the Obama administration. Nothing surprising about it. To say, personally, as an Israeli, it's disappointing because it assumes that Israel alone can end this war. The war ends when Hamas surrenders. The hostages are freed when Hamas gives up the hostages. There's no sense in that broad, that boilerplate answer that Israel is fighting a multi-front war for its survival and fighting a generational war with Iran, and that our enemies are also the enemies that seek the destruction of the United States. And
speaking of that multi-front war, we saw a video release, I think it was through the IDF yesterday, of a weapons cache in southern Lebanon that the IDF seized from a former Hezbollah stronghold. And, I'm no weapons expert, but there's a whole bunch of it. And two, it looks like a lot of it's Russian, but it had to be funneled through to Iran. It's a multi-front war. The head of the snake's got to be confronted at some point, Michael.
And it's also Russia. We know that Russia has been helping the Houthis to target international shipping through the Mandab Straits. We know that Russia has provided Iran with hypersonic missile technology that has found its way into the hands of the Houthis. We've now taken down 3 of these rockets. We're saying this is a global conflict going on here. And the attempt to reduce it to Gaza and to entirely too many Palestinians have been killed, which is always a very strange locution, by the way. Because it suggests that there's some number that would have been okay, right? As far as I'm concerned, every civilian death is a tragedy,
of
right?
course. But
entirely too many Palestinians have been killed is a very strange locution. The administration has used this since at least the end of October 2023. Entirely too many. By the way, entirely too many Israelis have been killed, and entirely too many Israelis continue to be killed, including 5 soldiers yesterday.
This week,
civilians.
Yes.
I just give you an example. Last night I listened to a 7-minute item on the network that you just showed. And in those 7 minutes, it was all about the situation up north. It was all about how Israel is causing destruction in Lebanon, how Israel is blowing up buildings in Lebanon, causing hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes. It goes on and on and on for 7 minutes. In not 1 minute of that very long item was one rocket mentioned of the some 600 rockets that have been fired at the north over the last 4 or 5 days.
Yes, I've seen the alerts too.
And this household in bomb shelters, not one. And what's going on? I later got onto Fox News and I talked about this last night. If anybody caught it with Neil Caputo, I talked about how this is simply propaganda for Hezbollah. This isn't journalism. There's nothing remotely journalistic about it. And the American people are being profoundly misinformed. And maybe that type of misinformation leads to that type of response, which says this is about Gaza and not about Israel's war for survival.
We saw Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday speak to Jews worldwide and say, you have to stand, you have to unite, we have to save the West. And maybe that counter message will carry the day. Dr. Michael Oren from Israel, thank you very much. We will talk to you, of course, next week and as events develop.